There is probably no sound more soothing than that of moving water. Since time immemorial, water has accompanied life, shaped territories, and made cities possible. Today, it is at the heart of our story. Water is scarce, fragile, but controllable. One question begs to be asked. How could a city, like Pomaria, have prospered in such a demanding environment? Before observing the terrain, let's look at history. At the beginning of the 20th century, three major historians asked themselves the same question. Was the climate of ancient North Africa different from today's climate? Stéphane Gsell, André Lecoq, and Eugène Albertini. Three researchers, three backgrounds, and almost the same ancient sources. But above all, the same conclusion. All three describe an Africa marked by summer drought, irregular rainfall and capricious rivers, weak in summer, and violent in winter. In other words, the climate has not fundamentally changed. Conclusion: North Africa has never been naturally abundant in water. Faced with this constraint, one thing is clear: without hydraulic engineering, there would be no cities. Albertini makes it clear: the most consistent efforts focused on water use. Dams in ravines, dikes, cisterns, underground canals. And above all, specialized workers, water professionals. The texts refer to archaeology, hydraulic engineers, to the extent that their role is recognized even in Roman law. Water is not a luxury, it is a condition for survival. Roman engineering was not imported as it stood, but adapted to older knowledge. Because before the Romans, local tribes were already there. They had learned to read the terrain, to capture water and to channel it. A 5th century text confirms this. Cassiodorus reports that engineers from Africa were called back to Rome because, and I quote, "this art was practiced there with great care, due to the dryness of the land." In other words, Africa was not a student, it was also a reference. So, let's imagine a harsh climate, dry summers, brief but violent rains. And yet, nestled in the mountains of Tlemcen, a city emerges, Pomaria, its orchards, olive groves, irrigated gardens. How is this possible? The answer lies in geography and water. Here appears a discreet but decisive player, the Oued Metchkana, modest in appearance but capable of becoming a torrent depending on the season. It runs along the ramparts of Agadir, carving out a natural ravine, protecting the city and supplying it with water. The water flows down from the heights, from the porous, karstic limestone mountains, which are veritable natural reservoirs. Pomaria does not depend on a distant aqueduct. It is part of its landscape, a local water system, heir to indigenous knowledge. To understand this system, you have to follow the water. From ancient times, the military survey of 1836, and Joseph Canal's reconstructions, the route of the Metchkana wadi can be traced, from the heights of Lalaseti to the outskirts of Pomaria. To describe this route, I have chosen a familiar guide from the Tlemcen sky, the stork.
Follow me.
At an altitude of over 1,100 meters, on the heights of Jebel Adar and west of the village of Al-Mefrouch, the Oued Metchkana had its source. Like a silver thread traced by history, it flowed down the slopes of Magraman, passing east of what would become, many centuries later, the seawater desalination water distribution station, before reaching the Lalaseti Plateau. There, the stream branched off to the east, towards the upper Al-Fawara spring. Then, beginning a steep descent, it reached upper Al-Kila, winding vigorously at the foot of the mills that would punctuate its course. The Levy, Messafai, Bensadown, Benzaken, and Amselem mills, symbols of the milling activity of yesteryear. Continuing its course, it ran alongside the lush gardens of El Har town, arriving directly at the Metchkana school. It was here that it turned eastward, skirting the land that is now home to the Zionides Hotel. Finally, after flowing southeast of the train station, Metchkana ended its journey at the south-southeast ramparts of ancient Pomaria, where Agadir still watches over the memories of the Roman city. I have come to the end of this episode, devoted to Metchkana. In the next episode, we will talk about Sequiat Rumi. Before closing, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Al-Hajj Salmi Mokhtar, my guide at El Kala Superior.